In this video, we'll see about objects in Python. In case of Python, it's an object-oriented programming language. Everything in Python is an object. And generally, we will say that object is an entity that contains data and then methods associated with the data. And the data contained in the objects are also known as attributes. And these attributes are nothing but they are simply going to describe the properties of the object. And by using the methods, we can perform various operations on the attribute. So if we consider the object, it consists of two things. One is attributes and the other is the methods. Let's consider the statement x is equal to 5.5. When this particular statement is executed, in Python, an object will be created and this object is going to represent floating point value because we are writing here 5.5 which contains a decimal part. So it is a floating point number. And in that object, a value of 5.5 will be stored. And so when this particular statement is executed, an object will be created and this object is going to have attributes as well as methods. So in the attribute, the value will be stored as 5.5. And this object will have many built-in methods associated with floating point object. So here one of the built-in method with floating point object is underscore integer. And like this, there will be so many methods associated with the object. And after the object is created, a reference x will be created and this x is a reference to the object. And when we want to access the attributes and methods of this particular object, we can access them with the help of this reference x. So the syntax is, if you want to access the attributes and methods with the help of this reference, first you have to write the reference name, then dot operator, this is called as membership operator, followed by the attribute name. If it is a method, first reference name dot method name, and since it is the method, we should use open and close parenthesis. Now let us see about the method is underscore integer. The floating point number have a built-in method called is underscore integer, and this method is going to tell whether the value contained in the floating point object is integer or not. Let me declare the statement like this: x is equal to 5.5. When this particular statement is executed, then the floating point object is created and the value of 5.5 will be stored in the object. And the reference to the object will be stored in x. So now, if I want to access either the attribute or otherwise the method, I can do with the help of this reference. So first I am using x, that is the reference name, dot the method name. Method here is underscore integer. When I call this one, first it will check whether this particular value is an integer or not. Actually, integer means it will contain only the whole number. It is not going to have any fractional part. But this is 5.5. So there is a fractional part. So this method will return false. So the output is printed as false. Suppose if x is initialized as 5.0, when we call the method is underscore integer, it is going to return true. Even though it is having 0 in the fractional part, since it is a whole number, it is going to return true for this. Now let us see something known as a dunder or magic methods. So either we can pronounce this as a dunder or otherwise a double under. So every operator in Python is associated with a special method known as magic method, or otherwise it is called as dunder. And these methods will have a special way of representing their names. They will have two prefix and then two suffix underscores in the method name. And dunder means double under, that is nothing but double underscore. And these methods are commonly used for operator overloading. We will see what is operator overloading later. Now let us consider a few examples for this. When I have the operator plus, for this particular operator, the magic method is nothing but double underscore add double underscore. Since it is a method, we will have the open and close parenthesis. Likewise, for the subtraction operator, the magic method is double underscore sub double underscore then the parenthesis. Now, I have an object. I want to know what all the attributes and methods associated with the object. To find out that, there is a function in Python. That function is nothing but DAR. DAR is a built-in function And this function is going to return the list of attributes and methods associated with any object. When the statement x is equal to 5.5 is executed, since 5.5 is a floating point data, a floating point object will be created and 5.5 will be stored as a value of the object, and we will have all the methods, built-in methods associated with the object. We can call all those methods and attributes with the help of this object reference. So here x is the object reference. And to know what are all the attributes and methods available with this particular object, we can call the function dir. So to this dir function, when we pass x as the argument, whatever attributes and methods are associated with this particular object x, all those things will be printed by this particular function. So I'm getting output like this. So if you see, we have functions for ABS, stands for absolute, then add, then bool, and so on. Now let us see how to use some of these functions. Here x is the reference to the object. So I can access all these methods with the help of this object reference. So I can call the function is underscore integer by means of this x as x dot is underscore integer. Since it is a method, we are writing the parenthesis. And when you call like this, since 5.5 contains 0.5 in the fractional part, it is not an integer, so we will get the answer as false. And we can also call these magic methods with the help of this object reference. So we can call by means of x dot double underscore add double underscore, then I can pass any value as the argument. This function is going to add the value what we are passing to the existing value. So this x is having a value 5.5 and I am going to add 6 to this. So final answer will be 11.5. And one more thing is very important here. We are simply adding the value of 6 to the value of the object pointed by the reference x. So when we do that, it will not change in the original location of x. So when we print x, we'll be still getting the old value of x only. When we execute this particular line, we'll be getting the answer as 11.5, but that will not be saved in the object. So the object will still have the old value. Let's see a few more examples for the magic method. Let me consider the statements x is equal to 5.5. When this particular statement is executed, an object for the floating point data will be created and 5.5 will be stored as a value for this particular object. And the reference to the object is now x. Similarly, when the statement y is equal to 6.0 is executed, one more object will be created and this object is going to have floating point values and 6.0 will be stored as a value in this object and y is the reference to this particular object. Then I am calling x plus y. So when I execute x plus y, what's going to happen is x is an object, y is again an object. Now I am using the operator plus. So we have already seen that for every operator, there is a special magic method. So that method is nothing but for plus, it is add. So when this particular operator is executed on these two object references, it is going to call the magic method double underscore add double underscore automatically. We are not calling this one, we are simply writing the plus operator, but the interpreter, that is the PVM, will be automatically calling the magic method. And now it will be adding these two values and we'll be getting the final value as 11.5 and that will be printed because we are calling the function print. And instead of writing like this, like print x plus y, we can also call the magic method directly. Here the magic method is not called by us, it is called due to the operator overloading for this particular operator. Instead of that, we can call the magic method. So let's see how to do that. To call the magic method, we need reference to the object. So here we have two objects x and y. I can use any one of the reference to invoke this method. I'm using the reference x. So I'm going to call x dot double underscore add double underscore. Now for this, I need to pass one argument, that is nothing but y. So now what this function will be doing is, it will add the value pointed by the reference x to the reference y and return the answer. So the final answer is 11.5. So we can achieve this in two ways. Either by using the operator plus, we can do this. In this, operator overloading is going to happen. Instead of that, we can call the function, that is, we can call the magic method directly. Now let's see object ID. Every object in Python has its own unique object ID, and this ID is assigned to the object whenever the object is created. And this ID is constant for the object during the lifetime. And this ID is similar to the memory address in case of C. And to understand the ID of the object or to know the ID of the object, we have a function called ID. So this ID is an inbuilt function in Python. And when this function is called, it will return a unique ID for the specified object. And to call this function, we have to use this particular syntax. We can call the function ID by passing any object as the argument. In the previous example, we have created two objects x and y. Here we have created two objects x and y, both are of the type float. So now let's see how to print the ID of those objects. So I can call print, and within the parenthesis, I can pass ID of x. So now this ID of x is a function, and this function will return the ID of the object x, and print will be finally printing that value. Similarly, we can print the ID of this object y by calling print of ID of y. And when we see this, the IDs of the objects x and y are different because those two objects are stored in different memory locations. So ID is going to return a unique identifier which is similar to the memory location in C programming. Now let's see a few more examples. So here, first I am declaring p is equal to 10. When this particular statement is executed in Python, this 10 is a whole number, so an integer object will be created. So this is an integer object. In the object, 10 will be stored as a value, and after that, a reference p will be created, and this p is a reference to this particular object now. Next, I'm writing the statement as q is equal to 10. And when this statement is executed, here, again, we have to create a new object with a value 10. But in case of Python, for this q, new object will not be created. Since this 10 is already existing, since we have the object already existing, now what will happen is a reference q will be created. This is a new reference, and this reference will also refer to the same object now. Now, I want to print the ID of this p and q. So what I'm doing now is I'm calling the function ID of p, then I am printing the value. Similarly, I am calling ID of q, I am printing the value. And when I print, I can see the same value is printed. So what is the reason here is p is having value as 10, q is also having the value as 10. Since the values are same, two objects are not created, only one object is created, and p and q are reference to the same object. Since they are reference to the same object, they will have the same ID only, so we are getting the same answer. And also we can print like this also, print ID of 10. When we print the ID of 10, again we will get the same answer. So what is new in this one is, when we write the statement q is equal to 10, no new object is created. It only creates a new reference q. And p and q refer to the same object. In case of programming languages like C, when we write the statement as int a is equal to 10, then int b is equal to 10, two different memory locations will be allocated for the variables a and b. Both the memory locations will have the same value as 10 only, but they will be allocated with different memory locations. But here in case of Python, it is not the case. Since the value is same, both p and q will refer to the same memory location only. Now let's see how this optimization is achieved. Let us consider a few examples to understand how this is going to work. First, I have two statements, a is equal to 55, then b is equal to 55. And I want to print the ID of this a and b. When I print, I am getting the same answer. Because in the previous slide, we have seen that since the values of A and B are same, there will be only one object, and A and B will be two different references which will refer to that particular object. So we are getting same memory address. And if you have C is equal to -5 and D is equal to -5, when we print the values, when we print the ID of C and D, again we are getting the same value. Now let us consider one more example. C is equal to 256, D is equal to 256. In this also, I am getting same answer for both the IDs. Now, here comes very important thing. If I have C is equal to -6 and D is equal to -6, even though the values here are same, when we print the ID, we will be getting two different IDs. Similarly, when C is 257 and D is 257, even though the values are same, when we print the IDs, we are getting two different IDs. The values are different here. Why we are getting like this? For some cases, we are getting the same ID printed, whereas for some values, we are getting different IDs printed. What is the reason? So here comes something called as optimization in Python. In case of Python, interpreter creates objects for integers in the range from -5 to 256, inclusive of these two values at startup itself. And then whenever we are assigning any variable with that value, it will not create a new object. It will reuse those objects which are already created during the program execution. When we assign separate variables to integer value in this particular range, they will refer to the same object only. Because of this reason only, for the first three examples, we are getting ID as same. Because in the first three examples, the values are in this range, -5 to 256. Here we have 55, in this -5, and in this 256. The values are in this range. So, interpreter has already created the object, only those objects have been referred. Whereas, when we consider this statement -6 and 257, the values are not in this range. So what is going to happen is, so in this examples, every time new object will be created. Now let's see one more example. We have already created P, and P is having the value as 10 as per this example. Now I am writing the statement P is equal to P plus 10. When this statement is executed, what is going to happen is, the old value of P is 10. Now 10 will be added to the value. So the new value will be 20, and that should be stored in the object reference P. But we have only 10 here. We don't have 20. So at this particular point of time, what is going to happen is, the object for the value 20 will be created, and then the reference P will be now pointing to this particular object. In the previous case, it was pointing to the old values 10, but now since we are adding 10 to this, a new object with value 20 is created, and P is now referring to this particular object. And when we call print of P, we are getting the value of P to be printed, that is 20 will be printed. So if we write simply P plus 10, then P will be referring to the same object only, but in this I am writing P is equal to P plus 10. Therefore, the value 20 will be stored in P. That means a new object is created, and P is now referring to that particular object. And when we print the ID of P, we will be getting the ID of this particular object. That is nothing but memory location of this object. And when we print ID of Q, we will get the memory location of this particular object. And when we print ID of 10, 10 is nothing but this only. So it will be same as the ID of Q, because 10 is in the range -5 to 256. So we will be getting the same as Q. So these two are same. Similarly, when we print ID of 20, 20 is nothing but it is the value currently available for P. So we will be getting same answer for these two cases. Now in this case, what has happened is, P and Q now refer to different object. So initially 10 was referred by two different references, P and Q, and because of the execution of this particular statement, now P is not referring to 10, it is referring to 20. Now we have one more function called type function in Python. And this function is going to return what is the type of the object that is passed as argument to this particular function. Because in Python, everything is an object, but the type of object will be different. So when we want to identify the type of the object, we can make use of this particular function. So type function is going to return the class type of the argument passed as a parameter. So we will be passing object as the parameter to this particular function. So the syntax of calling this function is type pass object as the argument. So for example, already in the previous slides, we have created different variables, p, q, then xy we have created. So when I call type of p is an integer object. So it will be printing the type as class int. So here this int is going to tell that it is an integer object of type class int. And then if I call type of x, it will be printing class float because x is declared with a floating point value. So it is a floating point object. And similarly, when we want to declare a string data, so we can write statement like this, country is equal to India. So here India is given inside double quote. Anything given inside single quote or otherwise double quote will be treated as string in Python. So when we call type of country, it will be printing the type of this particular object that is nothing but string. Now let's see very important term in Python, object lifetime. An object's life begins whenever it is created first in the Python program. And at this point of time, one reference to the object will be created. And during the object's lifetime, we may create additional references to the object, and we may even delete already existing references. For example, let's see here. In this example, first we have created the object 10, and one reference to this object is p, and next we have executed the statement q is equal to 10. At this point of time, second reference to the same object is also created. So here p and q are references to the same object. So we can create any number of references to the same object. And in this slide, previously p was referring to the object 10, but now that reference is deleted and it is currently referring to the object 20. And this is happening due to the execution of the statement p is equal to p plus 10. So during the lifetime of the object, we can create new references to the same object. At the same time, we can delete already existing references. So when we do like that, how long we can say that object is alive? An object is said to be alive as long as there is at least one reference to it. And at one particular point of time, whenever we delete the reference to the object, the number of references to the object will become 0. At this point of time, we cannot access that particular object and its lifetime is said to be over. And in case of Python interpreter will be identifying the objects that are inaccessible, and then whatever memory we have allocated to that particular object, they will be reclaimed and they will be returned to the free memory space available. Because of this, if any other object needs some memory in future, we can allocate memory to that particular object. And this process is known as garbage collection in Python.